Thank you very much, everyone, for having me out here to Africa. It is my first time in South Africa, so really pleased to be here. I'm going to talk to you guys today a little bit about data and AI and what we're doing with it at Geotab to help serve our customers and our partners. But before that, I thought I'd just kind of take a quick poll in the audience to see how many people are familiar with artificial intelligence and what it can actually do for your business. So if you can raise your hand, that'd be great. Okay, a few people. That's good. And now spinning that to telematics, how many of you are familiar with artificial intelligence within the context of telematics and what it can do for your business? A couple less. Okay. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to dispel a couple of the myths around artificial intelligence and talk to you about what it's really like, right? So, I mean, some people talk about artificial intelligence. They think it's C-3PO, R2-D2, general artificial intelligence. While that is true, there's so many use cases beyond that exist today that we're using and leveraging at Geotab, and that's what we're going to spend the majority of the time today talking about. So AI really is just simply the ability of a computer to learn or to think. And the goal behind AI is simply to make predictions. And a prediction is simply using information I have right now to generate information that I don't have. And a prediction could be anything from, what will be the price of this stock tomorrow? What will this autonomous vehicle do as it's approaching this intersection and there's a pedestrian about to cross? These are all predictions. And the goal of AI is to predict something. And what's happened recently, since AI was coined in the 1950s, the cost of making predictions has dropped drastically. And that's as a result of so many things. So cloud computing, we've got Google Cloud infrastructure, Amazon infrastructure, making things a heck of a lot cheaper to do these predictions. IoT devices, there's so much data. So the cost has dropped drastically. And what happens when the cost drops? Three things happen. We start using more of it. We start using it for derivative things. And the cost of things all around it start to change. And what leads to this is we have disruption that then ensues. And I like to point to this specific patent here because this is Amazon's patent for anticipatory shipping. And what they have done right now, they've gotten so good at predicting when somebody will need something, they've changed the mentality of how we look at shopping online. They will ship you something before you've actually shopped for it, right? And it ends up at your doorstep, whether you need it or not. But they've taken that notion of shop to ship and flipped it to ship to shop, right? So it's something we really need to be cognizant of. The cost of prediction has dropped dramatically. We're going to see things change drastically in the years to come. And I want to explain the notion of AI, big data, and IoT. This is a very simple slide that explains that. So the Geotab device is an IoT device. It senses something about the world around us, right? Big data, when we push all of our data to the Google BigQuery engine, it remembers all of this data. That's the store for it. And then AI decides, it takes action on it. So that's the kind of loop between IoT, big data, and artificial intelligence. And I'm not going to get too technical here, but this is the only slightly technical slide that I've got. But some important concepts to kind of keep in mind when you're thinking about artificial intelligence, okay? So there's one that's called unsupervised learning. That's a type of learning that involves just cluster creation. What you can think of that is if I'm doing something like customer segmentation, I want to separate my bad customers from my good customers, right? Very simple, unsupervised learning. Then you've got supervised learning. This is about having truth or label data. A good example of that is something like fraud detection. We need to train our machines to be able to understand when a credit card transaction is fraudulent or not. So we have this label data that says fraudulent, not fraudulent, and a whole bunch of leading indicators that allow us to predict that. So this notion of having this labeled data, that leads to supervised learning. Then we've got complex deep learning, which is all about neural networks. The best use cases for that is image recognition, video identification of things, and stop signs and videos and all this kind of thing. So that's deep learning. And then reinforcement learning. This is kind of cool. This is relatively new. And what it does is you don't require a lot of data to start. So picture a robot that's trying to pick up a ball and put it on a pedestal. You want to reward it. It's a reward-based system. So the closer the robot gets to taking that ball and putting it onto the pedestal, the more reward you're giving it, the further away it is, you penalize it. So it's a new way of thinking, and there's some applications I'm going to talk to about in connected vehicles as well. And then you've got natural language processing, chatbots, and sentiment analysis that kind of go across the spectrum. So this is just kind of a quick overview on AI, machine learning, and some key concepts that will be helpful. And I thought I'd show you how this kind of maps to our connected vehicle ecosystem as well, too, through this little diagram here. So it starts off with low complexity in the middle and then goes to higher complexity, and I've kind of mapped it to each of the different areas to give you an understanding of not only what we at Geotab are looking at, but what the connected vehicle space is looking like when it comes to AI. So unsupervised learning, driver behavior is an excellent one, right? We're looking for patterns and outliers. We just heard from the previous presentation, right? It's not enough to just look at, harsh braking incident. It's finding these outliers based on the data. We're not going to create a score that tells us 10% of the time that I'm not wearing my seatbelt, 30% of the time harsh braking. That's an antiquated way to look at it, and we need to start looking at it from the perspective of these outliers. Supervised learning, so predictive maintenance is a great example of that, right? So we know when something has broken down in the shop, right? Well, what are the leading indicators that map to that? If I'm looking at bad battery detection, it's going to be about temperature, it's going to be about cranking voltage. So supervised learning and predictive maintenance go hand in hand well together. Deep learning. Google's got this really neat application where you take a picture of a vehicle and it does instantaneous damage detection, right? So you take a picture of the vehicle, it tells you, it looks at the make and model of the vehicle, how much it was dented, and then relates that to an anticipated cost. So a great example of looking at image recognition and deep learning. Reinforcement learning, you might look at it from the perspective of the charging infrastructure, right? And when is the best time to charge an electric vehicle? You want to charge it fairly quickly, but also according to grid rates. So reinforcement learning using a rewards-based system is an excellent example of where you could leverage artificial intelligence and machine learning. And natural language processing, we might be looking at customer satisfaction scores, work order type extraction, and this kind of thing. So I just want to give you a broad spectrum of where we're seeing artificial intelligence right now within this ecosystem. So all this AI, it's based on huge volumes of data. And we're very fortunate to have a massive amount of data at our disposal to be able to develop these interesting solutions for our customers and our partners. 40 billion data points per day we're processing. Over 1.8 million commercial vehicles across the globe. A huge focus certainly in North America, but I just wanted to paint a picture of South Africa, within the last day, right? So there's a lot of data here that we have to act upon. And I wanted to point to 5 kind of data and AI solutions that we have at Geotab that I want to make sure are on your radar as well. So one, Colin mentioned briefly, is data.geotab.com. So from all this data across the board, what we do is we aggregate it up and provide these solutions in a big data ecosystem. The only thing you need to access this is Google credentials. You pop in, you get into BigQuery, and you have access to all of this data. It's broken down to 3 different areas: urban infrastructure, weather, and location analytics. And we'll be continuously adding more, and we'll be adding APIs on top of this as well. So I'll point to a couple interesting ones. Intersection Insight. We can look at every single intersection in the world and look at the stop times, how many times people are making a left, going straight, making a right. We did some work with the Regional Transportation Commission in Vegas, and their traffic engineers were astounded that they didn't have to have sensors installed to be able to pick up some of this data, to make sure that they've got the timing right within the municipality, right? All organically from vehicles driving through these intersections. Cell coverage dark spots. I had one of my data scientists, were down in Colombia, and they were doing this presentation, and he showed some of the dark spots that existed, so areas where there was poor cellular connectivity. And one of the fleet managers raised his hand and said, "Hey, could you go back over there?" So he went back to the slide, and he checked it out, and he called up the company immediately and said, "We got to reroute our drivers away from this area because there's poor cellular coverage." Theft is a huge issue down there, and he wanted to make sure when he's forming those routes, he's doing them in areas that have good cellular coverage. Also, a ton of data on weather, hyper-local down to 500 feet by 500 feet, looking at temperature, precipitation. We look at windshield wiper activation and devise models that give us hyper-local, where is it raining right now, where's the ground truth. So some really cool stuff on there. We've also released recently, in the last month, a data science package for some of the larger fleets. Pulling data out of our API is amazing. But as you get to these massive amounts of numbers in the fleet, a number of years of being with Geotab, it's beneficial many times as you're working with larger customers who may have a data analyst on staff. They want access to this data in a data lake of some form, where they can run their own machine learning algorithms, where they can look at this data and execute a query on billions of rows of data in a matter of seconds. So what we've done is we've given, in this data science package, a mini Geotab ecosystem to these customers, right? And a couple of use cases where I really see the benefit for this is in merging this data with other line of business data that you have in your ecosystem. So if you're looking at something like point of sales, if your business is getting the next widget out to a customer as quickly as possible, so the customer calls you up and they say, hey, I need an auto part, I need it now. Okay, so Geotab knows how long it's going to take from the time that vehicle leaves the shop to the time it gets to the customer, but we don't have any insight into the point of sale system, the time it took from the time the customer made the call to the time the vehicle actually left. So let's take the data from the point of sale system, merge it together with the telematics data in one giant data lake, and now you can find the areas within your business, the stores, the locations, which have worse time to serve metrics, right? And that's important because you want to be there before your competition. So that's one simple example of where we can merge data together. Our electrical systems rating. So we've done a ton of work on looking at bad battery prediction. So now we can tell you with a score of how bad that battery is in your vehicle and when you should probably change it. And that's important, not because the battery is cheap, right? It's cheap to replace, but it's the cost of downtime, like to Colin's point. You want to make sure that your vehicles are on the road, being utilized fully all the time, and when that vehicle goes down as a result of electrical systems failure, it's going to be hours before they're back on the road again. So what we've done in the newest version of my Geotab, we've provided a score there, and we'll continue to do this. So certainly, as Colin is mentioning, if there are maintenance issues, if there are breakdown issues that are prevalent within your customer base, bring those problems to us at Geotab. We're very happy to activate. We've got an MVP team, a minimum viable product team at Geotab in my department that works with customers on solving these problems, leveraging machine learning and artificial intelligence. Fuel economy benchmarking is another one that you'll see very soon. We're doing a lot of trials with customers right now, and this is real-world fuel economy, but it's not just the real-world fuel economy. It's if I'm driving a Ford F-150, I want to know how I'm doing versus other people who drive a Ford F-150, not just other Ford F-150s, but other Ford F-150s similarly to me. So if I'm driving in a city or if I'm in the mountainous range, my fuel economy is going to vary considerably, and I want to be benchmarked against those people. So that's the approach we take. But then we also take the approach, well, what if I were to know other like vehicles, Chevy Silverado, a Toyota Tacoma, how are they performing in similar environments? Well, that's what that y-axis gives you. So if you're looking at a magic quadrant kind of analysis, if you're in that top right corner, probably in the best shape, best vehicle for your purpose. If you're in the bottom right, well, you might be doing well against other Ford F-150 drivers, but maybe not. Maybe there's a better option for you from a fuel economy perspective. And I was talking about this a little bit earlier, safety outlier analysis. So it's not about that score anymore. It's about looking for these outliers and letting the data tell us where these outliers are. In the example that I've shown there on the left, that was an actual outlier that was identified. And this is from some real data, if you looked at the trend of driving for that specific outlier, we could have predicted a month before there was an accident that this driver something was going to happen, right? And you can see after that accident, his speeding dropped quite considerably, and then it's on the rise again now. So there's probably time for intervention fairly soon. And we're not going to be able to pick up every single use case. That's just impossible. But if we can give at least a little bit of lift, we're helping people drive safer on the roads. What I thought I'd do is I prepared a quick clip here. I told the guys in the data science team, headed down to South Africa. I want to have a little bit of Canada in South Africa, and I want you guys to tell everybody what we're doing from an AI perspective at Geotab. So these guys prepared these clips very quickly. So this is about 20 seconds each, and I'm going to have them share with you from their personal experience what they're doing with AI at Geotab.
Hi, I'm Alessandro Garcia and I'm a data scientist here at Geotab. Currently I work on a recommendation engine to suggest the most suitable vehicles and other personalized insights to our customers. This is a totally novel approach in the telematics industry, and the goal is to provide our customers with personalized suggestions powered by artificial intelligence and big data.
I'm Javed Siddiq. I'm a data scientist at Geotab. I make production machine learning models that predict vehicle vocation. Vehicle vocation helps fleet owners distinguish between different driving patterns and help them benchmark their fleet for optimum performance.
Hi, I'm Dina Krieger and I'm a data scientist. I'm using AI to help create a customized fuel benchmark for each vehicle in a fleet so that you can understand whether or not you're getting the best vehicle for your driving needs.
Hi, I'm Daniel Lewis. I'm a data scientist at Geotab, and one of the coolest projects I'm working on is using AI and machine learning to identify traffic signal controlled intersections across North America and track vehicle movements through them so that we can make for more efficient and less congested smart cities across North America.
My name is Kyle Liu. I'm a data scientist here at Geotab. I usually solve problems just with SQL because I'm cool. But one of the ML problems that I'm trying to solve is intelligent snap to road. So it will help our clients integrate Geotab with their own GIS software, which will be immensely helpful.
Hi, I'm Rezvan, a data scientist at Geotab.
Hi, and I'm Willem, also a data scientist with Geotab. And together we are part of the crash detection team here at Geotab. We are analyzing high-frequency vehicle dynamics data and combine it with other telematics insights and clues to identify potential crashes.
This has huge benefits to many of our customers, especially those who share cars between different drivers. As a byproduct of this project, we can also find other interesting insights like detecting potholes, speed bumps, and harsh driving events.
Hi everyone, my name is Carlos and I'm a data scientist here at Geotab. Currently, I am using artificial intelligence to identify popular routes. The idea is that different types of vehicles select different types of routes. For example, a daily commuter will select a different road versus a delivery truck. The value add here is that fleet managers can optimize their routing and at the same time allow for better smart city planning.
So the whole notion here really is that we want to be able to predict these things together. Geotab forms one part of the equation, but it's our partner ecosystem, it's our customers that help us get to that next level. And I'll talk to you about a few different ways we can do that together. But I want to talk a little bit about assessing AI readiness within an organization, right? First of all, I mean, you have to have the data. Luckily enough, we happen to have a lot of data as Geotab customers and partners, so that's not an issue. But the label data is important as well, too. So if you're looking at predictive maintenance, you need to have the records on when a breakdown actually occurred. And for us to be able to help you from a machine learning perspective at predicting when these things are going to happen in the future, it's merging that data together. And that's where the collaboration happens. The talent. You have to have the right talent in place to be able to activate on that. And there's been significant improvements over the last few years that I've seen personally in the university education system that is pushing graduates toward machine learning, toward artificial intelligence. So it's really nice to see some of the new grads coming out that have this expertise. And it would all be for naught if the culture wasn't there. So you have to recognize the importance of artificial intelligence, the importance of data within your business. If you don't, then, I mean, the other two are for naught. So these are really important and critical pillars in assessing AI readiness in an organization. Our customers buy the device there and our platform primarily for safety, compliance, productivity, optimization reasons. Let's move that data up to the board level and do more with it. You've already made that significant investment in the device, in the platform, in the ecosystem. Let's do more. AI and telematics data combined with line of business data can give you so much more value. Two very simple examples of that are, I'm going to talk about delivery and predicting when a customer might churn. So if I'm a delivery company, I've got the telematics device installed across my fleet. I've got access to my sales data. I can start predicting when certain customers might churn. Predicting training needs if I'm a service company. Well, I've got the length of time it should probably take my technicians to do a certain jobs. And if I marry that data together with the telematics data, how long they're spending in different areas, I can improve the training capacity for my staff and the overall customer experience. So those are two very simple examples. But it's combining that telematics data that's already being collected, that's an asset that is already there, with other line of business data so you can elevate the importance of the data, bring it to the boardroom table. And that's what I really want to impress upon everybody here, partners and customers alike. AI needs talent. It needs all of this feature data, but it also needs that label data. We at Geotab, we can help on the feature data. We've got 40 billion points a day. We can help on the talent. Where we need your help is on this label data and executing some of these predictions, right? With over 40,000 customers across the globe, we can't be fit for purpose for every single business need. That's why we need you out there to school up on this kind of stuff. And there are ways to do this. AI is here to stay. You can participate in any way you want. You can become an advocate. So simply by being here today and understanding more about what AI can do and deliver to your customer base, just become an advocate. So if you want to play, that's one place to play. Second place is become a translator, right? So if you can recognize these areas of opportunity for AI within your customers' businesses, work with Geotab, work with our MVP team to help you accelerate what you can do for the business. We're here to help accelerate what people can do from an artificial intelligence perspective. Or go all in and become an expert yourselves. Integrate that telematics data. We've got boot camps, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that very quickly as well too, that help accelerate some of this learning and taking you from the raw telematics data to doing some incredible things from a prediction perspective. And this is all powered by the engines that we've got in Google BigQuery, our APIs, and the entire infrastructure that we have. To finalize things off here, I've got a couple of things. Some recommended reading if you're new to AI and you want to learn more. A really great executive's guide to AI, McKinsey & Company put out there. You can come see me later. I can give you the link. Prediction Machines is great. It talks about the whole economics of AI as well too, that I briefly touched on at the beginning of the presentation. And please, if you've got data scientists, analysts, or those who are interested in becoming data analysts, we're doing these boot camps. We did our first one in Toronto back in June, and it was awesome. 2 days, full technical sessions on how to take Geotab data and do amazing things from creating predictive maintenance pipelines to predicting traffic based on weather conditions. Some of our top data scientists will actually be in Portugal for our second boot camp November 4th and 5th. So if you've got some folks who are interested, please send them to the boot camp. It'll be a great experience for them to both meet with our data science team and learn a heck of a lot. And with that, I just encourage you to continue on your data journey, and thank you so much for having us here in Africa. A pleasure to be here for the first ever Geotab Connect in Africa. Thank you to Vishnu and the entire team. Cheers.